the highest priority at the moment is maybe the unemployment and how the women are treated in this whole system when it comes to unemployment and business.
The question about the abortion law, we need to immediately change the one that was brought in 2013 and make it accessible to women to have a getaway from heavy situations like that.
For me, a priority has always been education, not just for women in general, but especially for women, especially working on a qualitative education, but also including women from rural areas and women, even in Skopje, in education processes. And also one really important issue dealing with that myself is how to keep girls safe in schools from sexual harassers.
I think the priority is to work on everyday lives, human rights and safety of the women who are not recognized as women in a patriarchal society. The one like lesbians, sex workers, female drug users and any other marginalized women.
I might say that yes, women are active a lot, especially when it comes to social life, and many of the soft things from the society are still considered to be more like things for women, including the NGO sphere and, I don't know, volunteering for different civic organizations and NGOs, but still we are not equal. And whenever I'm talking that we are not equal, people are just asking me, how come that you're not equal? You have all the rights in the world and still you're complaining for this and that.
There was an active campaign of portraying women as mothers and having a third child and being a caregiver. Also, the thing is with the Gruevski government was, I think that it was in 2006 that the law on equal rights was adopted. And then change after that. After the new government, I don't know if I can always connect the role of the woman with the government in power, but we have seen willingness for change.
I think it's not only the level of participation, it is very important. And I think we should really push for that. But what we also need is having MPs or politically elected people who will actually work on democratization of this society and gender equality as an imperative. We see that this issue is becoming less and less interested in the political parties' agenda, but also in the government agenda.
In this article, when I was talking about Albanian women and their engagement in politics, I was particularly talking about the fact that men usually make this environment hostile and then accuse us for not being able to join them. You cannot join an environment which has been already made hostile for you. So me as a young woman, I have decided for like 2 years ago, even despite having offers, to not join a political party, particularly for this reason, because I have been called names, I have been called not only names, I have been judged for being loud, in a sense, for a woman. So it is hard to join an environment which men already have made hostile for you. And as an Albanian woman, being part of a minority, it's a small community. We practically know each other, all of us. And it is hard to be part of a political party if tomorrow somebody's going to say, she was there, she did this, she did that. and having them not represented in political party programs is the worst decision. It's the worst act that a political party can make, because at the end of the day we are going and voting for these parties but not being represented in their programs, in their policy later on.
Macedonia is very conservative society, and women experience this kind of behavior, but they also tend to mark it as embarrassing and hide it with a lot of personal strategy of self-blaming. So we choose 70 women, we address to around 70 women who are actually privileged and empowered, because we didn't want to expose some women into the backlash that we know that will happen after we share our personal stories. At the end, we have hundreds and hundreds of stories shared on social networks, and a lot of women talked on this, their personal stories, and many of them happened 10, 5, 20 years ago, and this is why the campaign name is I Speak Up Now. It's because in that time we were not in position to speak, because all of the sexual harassment, 80 or 90% of the shared stories are experiences of sexual harassment by the position of power. And majority of them, more than half, more than 50%, were happening inside the educational institutions, so elementary, secondary school and universities.
I was surprised how many negative comments were there from the general public, especially from men and women also. Let's not forget that angle as well, as judging those women that are speaking now after, I don't know, maybe 20 years, and there were some situations that they talked about that they were scary. And also we should talk about those microaggressions that are happening, because this is where the thing starts and then escalates to a bigger level.
So we have two types of responses, most of them. One is minimizing the experience of sexual harassment, saying that it's not, and focusing on among hundreds and hundreds of stories. I've done research after that, few students done, and I was mentoring the process. Only 2 cannot be defined as sexual harassment, and all the attention on these 2. And the second was why is it anonymous? Why we do not name our perpetrators or our aggressors? And the reason why not, there are many reasons why, but I think the tendency to ask for names is to privatize the guilt. And this is not something Macedonia or our society doesn't have 5 or 10 or 50 aggressors that we can focus, and it's something that is inside the culture.
You have to start from the root, you know. Now we have situation, as Elena was mentioning, that we're a super traditional society, yes, but then we also have problems within the families, because women, children and girls are treated differently, and then are taught different values and patterns of behavior. And then we have crucial problems within the educational system, not only when it comes to sexual harassment and violence, but generally speaking, when we talk about girls and women, then we have disbalance of power, even since the age, I don't know, of 2, whatever, you know, when they start going to the kindergarten, and then they proceed in the other instances of the educational system.
Before we even started to organize the festival, it was 6 years ago, we were thinking that we should do something in this country, something like this, a feminist festival, and because all the other countries on the Balkan have, and we needed to follow this fashion. The political timing was right. As you spoke previously, it was a right-wing government, and they started pushing hard with firstly the law on restrictive abortion, which made harder for women to, in such situation, to make it easier for them, and other things beginning to happening in our society, and we thought that it is the right time to do this feminist festival in Skopje. So what we did is actually gather all activists and other civil society organizations. They helped a lot through the years of the festival. And we started a program where they will present their work, and many women, many people from various backgrounds, for example, from the academy, but also women, successful women in other professional fields and business. We worked with Association of Housewives, we worked with a lot of other marginalized groups of women. And we wanted to create a non-exclusive space where together we would fight, let's say, for a common enemy, the patriarchy or whatever we want to call it.
I think that Firstborn Girl Festival, it's one of the rare spaces where you can actually discuss women and feminist issues. It's not a topic that is intervened inside the mainstream media or the dominant public discourse. So we have to claim spaces where we can meet and discuss, and it's very inclusive. And it's there were sex workers also there sharing their struggles, single mothers.
Yeah, sex workers, activists and politicians on the same table have the discussion and, you know, talk about the problems that we face every day. And when we started, we had questions from, I don't know, fellow guys like, are we allowed to go to your festival? Or have comments like, I want to struggle for women's rights, but I'm not a feminist. We tried to, you know, bring the term feminist at light and talk about what it means, because we've been there. And now I think we are on some other level where other things are being discussed.
I feel that this festival is really needed. I remember a few months ago, one of the most watched TV shows, political TV shows. The TV host said, one of the guests said feminism, and the TV host stopped her and said, I'm sorry, can we not use that word because it might scare our audience. So bringing the term feminism through the Firstborn Festival and in mainstream media as a normal thing, it's really, really necessary in Macedonia.
So, throughout these years, we really needed to talk about sexual education, and this is what we focused on as well. Because, I don't know, we in the school curriculum, there is nothing like this, and we really need to work upon this, get into schools and educate young people about, you know, sexual education, because this lacks a lot.
And maybe if we brought this issue not only talking for feministic things and rights, women's rights, whatever, on the festival, but also within the curricula as having the comprehensive sexual education in the, I don't know, primary and secondary schools, then I think that we can create even more alliance and even more partners within, you know, the structures that we already have.
Yeah, it's about bringing the change regionally and institutionally as well.
Of course, yeah.